Good morning. So today we're going to talk about AI, and especially, is your agentic AI a solution looking for a problem? Yes, like everyone, I fell in the artificial intelligence bandwagon, but I really want to talk about what's hype and what's real today. So my name is Peggy van der Plas. If you're new to the podcast, thank you, welcome. And if you're a regular, well, thank you as well, and welcome too. So, um, when I was in the UAE, I spent quite a bit of time actually in conferences related to AI, and I thought it was quite interesting to see their perspective. And to be fair, I've seen it over and over with technologies, whether you're talking about blockchain, crypto, digital. Companies and execs get very excited. They get enamored with the tech. They love the Silicon Valley speech, break things, fail fast. And they go all guns blazing with POCs, MVPs, pilot, and other projects. But they forgot one thing usually, and it's why. What is the problem they're trying to solve? And of course, many C-suite leaders, they fall prey to, conflict-riddled consultants, very energizing keynotes, maybe zealot board members, peer pressure, the famous cocktail hour where you need to when you need to say what you're doing in AI. They also fall prey to FOMO and also their own personal agenda. So let's talk about what is real and what is not. So one thing I thought was great when I travel is I saw the perspective from people from the Middle East and people from Europe, which is obviously not what I'm usually exposed to living in North America. And their perspective is quite different. You hear a lot of, AI for the people, AI for good, AI as a social and economic enabler. And it is very, very different from what I see and hear in North America, which is more, profit-only approach, more egocentric, more individualistic. So it was nice to see that over there, the focus is more in terms of supporting society and making society better versus making just a few individuals and a few companies richer. So when I was there was obviously a fair share of agentic AI evangelists. But I also heard both on stage and in the audience voices that were not AI skeptics per se, but they were more balanced about what they thought AI could and could not do. So let's start with the evangelists. So the evangelists usually they're neck deep invested in AI, and they want you to follow suit, and preferably using their own advisory services. Obviously, doesn't matter your industry, your company's maturity, your geography, your profitability, or your lack of profitability, AI will save you. Your problems, what problems? AI only brings solutions. So couple of anecdotes I thought funny. So when I was in Abu Dhabi, one of the evangelists at this big conference showed an org chart of his company, mostly populated by digital agents. And the guy was like, very slick, great suit, good looking, sweet talk, perfect UK accent, like the full package. But because it's 2025 and not 2005, my BS radar went up. So I did what I rarely do, but I looked him up and I looked his company up. And his company was set up 2 months ago. So I was like, yes, technically, you're being staffed by digital agents makes sense, So, the fine print here is something to keep in mind. There was another dude, French guy, actually, who was on the panel, and he got extremely irritated by the talk of a previous presenters that was questioning, AI's promises, the different opinions, let's put it that way, were not welcome. At the same time, he's also an investor in the space. So the last thing he wants is people questioning the TAM, the valuation, the ROI. And that's the point, is that some evangelists, they truly believe in AI's almighty power, And when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. The others are more snake oil salesmen. They understand very well today's limitations and the messy, disorganized implementations, but they choose to ignore them for their own interests. So what I didn't hear or see when the evangelists were on stage was use cases with ROI. I guess it was probably too confidential. So, I mean, we've all seen the chart with ChatGTP, stratospheric consumer adoption. I mean, it's lovely, but the fact that a student is fixing its syntax, or that maybe I'm going to learn how to make sushi, that doesn't translate into regulated, complex enterprise environment. So these are things we need to make a difference. So the balanced evangelists, I've seen quite a bit, way less, obviously, let's be honest, because at the AI conference, you tend to be populated by evangelists. So the first one I saw was at a conference at La Sorbonne in Abu Dhabi. He was a French gentleman. His name is Michel Morvan. He's the co-founder of Cosmotech. And his message was, I thought, very interesting and, again, very balanced. From his perspective, and that's what I've seen as well, let's be honest, AI embedded in core industrial systems is still small. And why? It's simply because there is a big lack of industry expertise and depth of knowledge when it comes to AI, because AI mimics the human brains. And the brain really works with two modes: recognition and reasoning. And 99% of AI today is recognition. LLM, it's pattern recognition, it's probabilistic model, it mimics language production, but not reasoning. That's why you have hallucinations. And core systems, they need reasoning, which is why you see such a small percentage of AI embedded in core industrial systems. So it's really about starting with knowledge versus starting with data. So next level we're going to see is more about simulation. The second balanced evangelist was Lynn Rabsamen. So Lynn, she's the author of a cool book called Artificial Stupintelligence. And she's also the COO End of Asia for Global Swiss Learning. And her message is AI, Gen AI, Agentic AI, in most cases, seem like a solution looking for a problem. And that wouldn't be the first time. She's referring to the metaverse, to blockchain. And from her perspective, no one really can predict what's going to be in 5 years and what's going to really be the real adoption and the real transformation. So she was giving a couple of interesting reality checks. So the first one was a Commonwealth Bank. But after letting go of a certain number of jobs, they admitted an error and they rehired the people, admitting that, well, it was not redundant and they needed to have these jobs done by people on the side of the AI. So basically, they fired people saying AI will be able to do it. They realized it was not possible, so they rehired the people to actually do the work. So that was an interesting one. Klarna, is also backpedaling after replacing hundreds of humans with AI. They realized that actually real people are essential to customer service, because customer service, well, guess what? Customer want to speak with someone at some point, and we've all been stuck with a chatbot, an agent that doesn't understand what we want because we don't fall in that probabilistic model, So all our data was pointing to the fact that, well, okay, we're quite early before letting go of everyone and replacing them with AI. The last person that I'm going to mention, because I'm not going to mention everyone, is Jay Jacob. So Jay is a managing director at Rockefeller Management. So I'm going to have a sip of water. And so his message is that Gen AI speeds things up, but the output tends to be average. So a good analyst is going to hunt the right information in, a quarterly call, for example, or M&A presentation, or all this type of information investor get access to. Gen AI summarizes everything to the mean. So that's the big difference. I found that it's true. I found it very challenging. If I read a document that has been summarized by AI and you read the original, well, you're missing a lot, because some things are way more important than others, which is the reasoning aspect, again, that's missing. So you're seeing everything flat and equally important, while it was not the case in the original document. So he was saying something funny. Say a bad email becomes average, but a good email also becomes average. So again, output trends to average. So you really want to keep humans where they excel, and then you automate the rest. And again, you see all these people are not AI skeptics. They are just looking at what can be done, what can't be done. And that's the big difference with evangelists that are telling you that everything is done perfectly, which is not true, So my take, I'm a broadly balanced evangelist. So, I do believe that Gen AI can be super helpful as a coworker, but, humans are key. And, I've mentioned that many, many times on that podcast, critical thinking first, again, Gen AI is a tool for efficiency, not the new CFO running your finance function anytime soon. Remember, again, Gen AI is probabilistic. It's great for patterns. It sucks for black swan. So if you can't, and again, if you cannot apply the models inside the company, the value is zero. It is not about the tech, it is about the human. So, and in 10 years, you will see AI will be like Excel, like it's going to be, essential, boring, no longer a topic, like maybe digital today. And one thing that I am always very, perplexed by is this idea of, oh, well, LLMs can summarize very large quantity of information. So a 200-page report, they're going to summarize to 20 page. As I just mentioned anyway, they're not going to understand exactly what is the most and the least important. So 20-page might also not be exactly the reflection of what it is. But above and beyond that, getting a 20-page or even a 2-page doesn't really matter. Summary doesn't make you an expert. You cannot absorb that much information that fast. It's a bit like I'm going to a meeting with a book. Well, great. Who is that helping? Like I can open the book and read from page 231. Well, you're doing the same with a summary. If you don't understand what you're talking about, who cares? And reading a summary, well, you're still going to have an extremely, extremely high level view, if understanding of what you're talking about. So, like I'm looking at that, it's more like a idiot savant. So you might learn different things, but you have no idea what you're talking about because you haven't studied and understood what it meant, you know? So that's where the summary, sometimes I'm still confused why people think it's so fabulous, you know, like you're still not aware of what we're talking about. And so the most common mistakes I see, again, it's, you know, this solution looking for a problem. You want to put AI in everything, but you don't really know why and what's the end goal, what's the ROI. It's just like, okay, let's start a project. Teams that are trying to integrate like hundreds of tools, you know, that's not necessarily what makes sense either. Look at the free tools that's really going to make a difference, that's going to bring you ROI versus anything under the sun. Rushed projects with sky high expectations, that's also a big red flag. I see a lot of confusion between causation and correlation. And that, again, that's not something AI always understand very well. You know, it's like having an amazing correlation between the number of days where it was raining in New York and the correlation with the increase in the stock market. It might be an amazing correlation. It is not a causation. And that's something people tend to be confused about. And it's also mistaking, you know, noise for more data, you know, data that is not relevant, but you get more of it. Wow, again, who cares? Or is it helping me? So where does that leave you? You know, as always, use your critical thinking. Can Gen AI, Agentic AI help your organization? Yes, absolutely. Is it the solution to everything? Absolutely not. So start with questions. What are you trying to solve? Is AI even the right tool? Which use cases have proven ROI in your industry for this specific challenge, not just kind of similar? And if you can answer these questions clearly, so then, you know, you're ready to pilot with purpose. But if not, you know, you're just funding someone else's keynote. And that's the thing you need to keep in mind. So I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Again, my name is Peggy van der Plage. Any questions, comments, let me know. And please subscribe so you're going to be able to see more of that next time it goes out, which is going to be the following week. And thank you again for being there. Take care. Bye.